Today you'll see a beautiful, beautiful woven pattern that has so many features that you'll be swooning about, at least I was. The fit is incredible, there's cup sizes. There's no other word really to say that it's just so beautiful. Hi sewing friends, I'm Karina from liftingpinsandneedles.com. Welcome to this channel that is all about sewing, limitless sewing, and I have a beautiful pattern to share with you today. This is a brand new release from Itch to Stitch, and it's a woven dress. As soon as I saw the liner, I wanted to sew it right away because there's a lot of things that tick my boxes for favorites. And one of these features is a new one that I've been enjoying. There was no doubt in my mind that this was going to turn out amazing. And I always knew I wanted to really let the features shine here by choosing a solid fabric and not a print. That was my idea from the very get-go. And this dress is called Sorata. You can see the dress here that Kenneth made. She made a long maxi version in a print. I really love her version. I think it's really, really nice. I've chosen different features for mine, and you can see the liner here. The V neckline, tick, love those. Facing finish, another tick. I love that because it's just so neat, clean, and easy to do. You can do regular plain sleeveless with a binding finish on the inside. That's pretty, that's what I usually do. But then you have these ruffle options, a single ruffle or a double ruffle. I think that is so pretty. And I have recently sewn this design feature on the Mandelo top from Itch to Stitch about a month and a half ago. It was a whole different pattern, different design, different fit, but with the ruffle option there. I tried it for the first time ever and I was enamored. I knew I was going to pick this option for the dress. I did the single ruffle, but you can do two right on top of each other. Now, if you really want a sleeve, you also have a sleeve, you have a flutter sleeve. So that's a really nice sleeve that's easy to set in, that usually doesn't have fitting problems like bicep adjustments and things like that. It's just nice and voluminous, but really drapes. So those are the options for this area. The bodice, when you look at the pattern pieces, they look sort of short, but consider that there's a wideish waistband underneath. So that bodice is not meant to hit the natural waist. The natural waist is going to end up in between the waistband. Slight gathering on the front, just depends on the cup size that you choose, how much that's going to be, because that bust dart has been swung down to the waist, so it's going to look super nice. This wide waistband has two layers, and inside there you sew these casings. You're going to have several casings, and on three of these you're going to thread 3/8 of an inch elastic on there. And then below that you have a neckline skirt that can just be simple at the knee. It could also be simple, just down longer. Or if you want a long dress, you can do the knee length skirt and then add a ruffle. So, and of course it can never be missing the infamous inseam pocket that a lot of people love. I think probably 99% of people that sew like them. I'm the 1% that does not appreciate an inseam pocket. I love patch pockets, welt pockets, all the pockets. But on skirts and dresses, I do not like anything hanging from the side seam at all. So I will never do that. If you want to see how I do my inseam pockets, I have a lot of videos showing you how to do them, even how to do them with French seams. It's not like I don't know how to do them. Of course I know. I just don't like them. So I'm glad it's always an option. I always opt out. Because the Sorata dress is brand new at Itch to Stitch, it's 20% off through next Thursday, the 14th of August. I will leave you my affiliate link at the top of the comment section, also in the description box. If you click on it, it will take you directly there. If you end up purchasing, I do receive a small commission back from Kenneth, the designer at Itch to Stitch. One of the ways I make an income creating helpful content here on YouTube. So if you want to support the work that I do here, that you can watch for free, I'd really appreciate it if you used my link. Thank you so much. You need light to medium weight fabrics for this dress. You don't want anything heavy just because of the details of the waist. There's quite a bit of ease at the waist that's gathered in with that elastic waistband. So you want that to fall nicely and not look bulky. I would say that drape is desired here, not required. I like drapey fabrics, so I'll mention them first. I don't think I would like to use a really lightweight plain weave of rayon. I think that's harder to work with, can turn out a little bit flimsy. Facings are not that easy to work with if you choose that type of fabric. But if you go with a rayon that's a little heavier, like a rayon twill, a rayon crepe, I think that's amazing. Rayon linen blend would be awesome, and that is my choice here. Mine is actually 70% rayon, 30% linen, nice medium weight, not transparent, which is a plus, and the drape is out of this world. Crepe, tencel would be amazing. I wouldn't go with a tencel twill. I think that would be too heavy. But if you really like your cottons, and for sure they're easier to work with, just keep it lightweight. chambray, shirting, poplin, cotton lawn. I would not do denim or a cotton twill here. Even a cotton sateen I wouldn't do. I think they would end up looking too bulky. A nice linen, 100% linen would be great. Linen cotton blend, linen rayon blend. Those are the structured fabrics. I'm not saying you can't use them. Of course you can. It's just that the look that I'm going for is more meshed with the drapey fabrics. If you're doing the inseam pockets, you need a little bit of fusible stay tape. And the other notion that you need is 3/8 of an inch wide elastic for the waist. I measure this around my waist and see what's comfortable. It usually ends up around 2 inches or 3 inches smaller than my waist. So you need 3 times that amount for the 3 casings, and you need a safety pin to be able to thread that through. Sizes 00 to 40 US, up to a 62-inch hip. There are cup sizes, that is amazing, A through to double D. When I became acquainted with this brand in 2017, I thought that was amazing. I'm a C cup, and so when I choose the correct size for me, the fit is so much better. I don't have to do full bust adjustments. It's just golden that it's already there in the pattern for you. Remember, your bust cup size for sewing is not what your bra says. You have to measure your bust, your full bust, figure out the difference. Look at the chart and see what you are. I have a 3-inch difference. That makes me a C sewing cup size. So that is something to note, so you don't end up just choosing blindly without measuring yourself. This is a dress that you can slip on over your head easily. You don't need closures. So you do have ease here. It's just that ease is regulated with that elasticated waistband. So at the bust, you're going to have around 3 inches of ease. At the waist, around 9. But remember, the elastic will bring it close to your waist. And then at the hips, around 9 or 10 inches. So that is amazing. You have detailed finished length measurements here. And for the knee length version, I figured out I needed 1 extra inch so that it would end up right at the top of my knee. In general, the fitting was super easy. I didn't make any changes at all. There's no darts to mess with here. Remember that dart volume is pushed down under the bust, so the pattern looks like it swings out, which makes it easier to fit. So no fitting adjustments other than adding an inch to the skirt, which is not a fitting adjustment. It's just making it a bit longer. So that was pretty painless. What I'm wearing today is a Galicia top from Itch to Stitch, but this is a hack. What I did with this one was eliminate the button placket that the original one has, and I just have a center back seam. I can still pull it on over my head. I made the sleeves shorter as well. This is a silk. It's really, really nice. This is a silk, and check out these beautiful sleeves. Little cuff with a bit of gathers, rounded neckline finish. It's got 2 layers, 1 outer, 1 inner, and then all this gathering around here. It's so, so beautiful. This is another beautiful pattern that you should check out. The sewing segment here is going to be a little bit longer than usual. It just depends on what I'm sewing. Sometimes for some patterns, the sewing segment is like 6 minutes. And in others, it's like 20. I've even had some that's like 30, just because there's a lot to see. And definitely there's a lot to see here. So let's hop into it. If you follow along, you'll be able to get a really successful result. So I hope it helps. Let's see. As you're going to see next, I'm going to block fuse these pieces. These are the facings, and the pattern piece just comes like that. And this one as well, meant to be cut on the fold, but with block fusing, you need to cut an extended piece. So I've just stuck paper there, trimmed it again, and then I have 4 pieces for the back and the front facing. These are the 2 pieces that need interfacing. It's the back facing and the front facings. My fabric is a little bigger than what I need. It's already been interfaced, block fusing as always. And now I can cut around the edges and have my pieces turn out exactly the same shape as the pattern piece. You'll never see me cut the interfacing separately and the fabric separately. Never, ever, ever. I always do block fusing. So this is the back facing, and then I'll just do the same for this other piece right here. Here are the pattern pieces for the Sorata dress that I'm making. Now I'm doing the simple A-line skirt. I'm not going to have ruffles at the bottom, but this skirt can be way longer, or you can add ruffles there. They are both cut out from the same pattern piece, and I've just got them stacked right on top of each other. They were cut on the fold. Here are the bodice pieces. This is the front. There is the front facing. That is the back. That is the back facing right there. What we have here are the waistband pieces. We have 4 pieces because there's going to be 2 for the front, 2 for the back. There's going to be an outer and an inner waistband. And that's where the casing will be made for the 3 rows of elastic. Up there, I have binding for my sleeveless armholes. I'm going to be doing a single ruffle on top of the sleeve cap. You can also do a double ruffle, or you can just do it regular sleeveless, or there's also a flutter sleeve available in the pattern as well. Because both the front and the back bodices are cut on the fold, I'm stay stitching in stages. So for this V, I'm going from the shoulder into the center of the V, flipping the fabric, and then going from the other shoulder into the V. And that's to just help this be symmetrical. I'm doing it with a seam allowance smaller than 1/2 inch, which is what we're going to use later for the facing. Every woven project is the same thing. We're going to have facings here later, and we don't want this to stretch out. And now I'm doing the back. I'm going from the shoulder into the center and then flipping the fabric from the shoulder into the center again to keep it all symmetrical. Because this is going to be a sleeveless garment, we're also going to stay stitch the armholes. I usually wouldn't do if there were sleeves coming in later. So that is the next step, from the shoulder down to the side seams. After stay stitching, we're going to serge all the raw edges. Right now, I'm doing shoulder seams, then I'm going up the side seams, and I'll do this for the fronts and the backs. Lots of serging, quite mindless, but you get it over and done with. After serging the edges of the bodice, I'm also going to grab my skirt pieces and get these done as well, so I can forget about that, and when I get to the skirt, that's already been done. After serging everything, I've gone ahead and sewn the shoulder seams, 1/2 inch seam allowance, and I've done the same thing with the facing pieces. With the facing, you want to put them right sides together like this. I'm going to go ahead and press my shoulder seams, the ones from the facing and the main bodice. Then I'm going to serge the outer edge of the facing, and then we'll be ready to put this onto the neckline. Place the facing right sides together with the neckline. Shoulder seams matching right here. This is a rounded back area. Then we go off to the front. I've got a dot that's going to help me pivot right there. Now we're going to sew with 1/2 inch seam allowance all the way around. I'm going to snip into this V close to it, not through it of course. I don't want to leave that 1/2 inch seam allowance in there, so I'm trimming it away so that it's smaller. Here I'm snipping, but only in the back section because that's the only curved area that really needs it. This is another presser foot. This has an L on it. It's also a type of blind hem presser foot, but different. When you move this, it moves this edge in or out, so you can actually get whatever seam allowance you want, and it's really helpful. I've set it here to about 1/8 of an inch. I'm going to understitch, but I'm not going to go through the V. So when I extend the facing, seam allowance is towards the facing here, and I'm going to start a little away from the V, like 1/4 of an inch. And then when I come to the other side, I'll be about 1/4 of an inch away as well. This is so much easier and accessible to do if you haven't sewn the side seams. That's why we haven't touched those yet. I've pressed the facing flat on top of the ironing and I hand basted it down while it was flat on the ironing board. So you can see my red stitches there. After the neckline is done, we're sewing these little side seams. They look super short. The bodice looks short, but remember there's going to be a waistband between the bodice and the skirt. After sewing the side seams, we can go ahead and do the sleeves or the flutter sleeves or the binding, whatever you're doing. I'm going to insert here 2 minutes of the Mindelo top that has the ruffles. It's exactly the same thing, and it's exactly what I'm going to do over here. I'm going to do a single ruffle, so I'm using the widest piece here. The instructions say to fold up by 1/4 of an inch twice and hem. But my fabric is just too thick for that, so I'm just folding it up once by 1/2 an inch, and I've got it hand basted there because it's a curve. I'm going to top stitch that down. One edge has a single notch that will match the front armhole, and the other side has a double one that's going to match the back armhole. After hemming, I'm doing these gathering stitches on the straight edge of the ruffles, and I'm doing the first row at 1/4 inch, long stitch length, for me it's 5, and then I'm doing a second one 3/8 inch from the edge. That's for both ruffles. I've got my ruffle piece there. Around the middle, not exactly in the middle, there's a line that will match the shoulder seam. And this right here is the front armhole. There's a single notch on the ruffle and a single notch on the armhole. And then the same on the other side, double notch over here with a double over there. So you can see there's all this excess to gather around this part. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And then just do a quick basting stitch to hold it in place. After the ruffle has been basted in place, then you just treat this armhole like any other armhole, and then carry on doing the binding like you would any other binding that's going to be tucked in towards the inside. After basting on the ruffles, you can see I'm sewing a binding on right on top, sandwiching the ruffles between the binding and the armhole. It's as easy as doing any type of binding, and I have a full video showing you how to bind. Nothing changes here. It's just that you're sewing binding on and flipping it towards the inside so it's hidden, and then the ruffles are going to peek out. These are 2 waistband pieces. There are actually 4 of them. They're all the same. I've just picked 2, and these are going to be the inner waistbands. Now the difference with these is that I've folded one of the edges up. So I did a guide stitch at 1/2 inch, pressed it up, and this one's the same. So we're putting these right sides together. We're going to unfold this. This fold is for later, but it needs to be there now. So I'm going to pin it right here. And we're going to do this on just this short end. First, we're just going to sew in little stages, essentially leaving little gaps here. So from the edge to that first line, we're going to sew, then leave that gap. Then we're going to sew, then leave a gap, then sew, then leave a gap, etc. This is with 1/2 inch, and we're just sewing tiny, tiny little bits at a time, and we're going to have little gaps in between. Okay, it might be hard to see, but that first one is sewn, gap. That one is sewn, gap. That one is sewn, gap. And then we finish off sewing that section that was folded. So when we open this up and press the seam open, we're going to have these little spaces to thread the elastic through later. The other side of this inner waistband is sewn normally the whole way through. No little gaps, nothing like that over here. Next, I've got the outer waistbands. These are normal. They don't have any folded edges. And with this one, we're going to sew that short end and that short end, same 1/2 inch, press it open. So I'm not going to film that. That's pretty simple. Another thing I've done off camera is on the front bodice, only on the front from side seam to side seam. You can see the curve there. I've got 2 rows of gathering stitches. You can almost see them right there. One at 1/4 and one at 5/8 of an inch. So this is going to be slightly gathered to match the waistband, and we're going to start uniting the waistband to the bodice now. I've got the bodice hanging upside down, so here are the shoulders and the ruffles, and it's right sides together with the outer waistband. So this is the outer waistband, they're right sides together. I've matched up the side seams. Now this is the front over here. The back matches 1 to 1, I've already pinned it, but you can see how there's excess here in the front that we need to gather. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I've got it pinned this way so you can see what I'm doing. But I am going to sew it like this with the gathers on the top, obviously. So I'm going to pull the threads here to make the bottom length of the bodice the same as the waistband. There we have it. So it's not a lot of gathers that we're going to have here. This is going to give you space for the bust, sort of from under the bust. I think it's going to look super cute, but the gathers are going to be very discreet. So I'm just going to pin this, and I'm going to gather from the other side into the center as well. Once everything's pinned and everything's nice, we're going to baste these 2 layers together just with 3/8 seam allowance, just to hold these 2 in place. And then we're going to bring in our inner waistband. Okay, here is the seam that we've just sewn. We have the outer waistband right sides together with the bodice. I'm going to make space, open it up. This is the wrong side in here. This is the seam of the bodice. I'm going to take this inner waistband, and what I'm going to do is find the nice side seam here, the right side of the inner waistband, and that's going to go against the wrong side of the bodice like that. Nice seam, ugly seam. That goes touching there. That is how this goes together. It's going to match 1 to 1. I'm going to pin it, match the side seams, and then I'm going to do the definite stitch again all the way around 1/2 inch, and then the bodice is going to be sandwiched between both waistband layers. Of course, I'm going to trim the seam allowance down like I've been trimming most of them down. This is a skirt. It's pretty simple. Most of the details are in the bodice. I have not sewn the inseam pockets, but you can do that if you want to. My skirt is wrong sides up. I've got side seams pressed. Everything's done. And I'm just going to scoot this down like here. And I've been to the iron and just pressed my seam allowance down. The waistband's very nice. Keeping this bodice right sides up with the pretty side of the fabric out. I'm going to slide it inside the skirt here and attach the skirt only to the outer waistband. That's the one that has the raw edge that has not been folded. Match up the side seams. Going to match 1 to 1. And it's another round seam. I'm going to do that off camera. This is the seam that we've just done, uniting the outer waistband to the skirt. I've trimmed it and now I'm pressing it up. And now I'm going to show you what comes next. After we press that up, we're going to take this inner waistband, bring it down. It's going to cover the seam right there. And we're going to stitch it down, edge stitching. It's going to hold it in place. And then we have to do all the little channels for the elastic. I took my time to hand baste, making sure the inner waistband was covering the seam from the wrong side of the dress. But I'm going to top stitch this from the right side of the dress so that I can have a really nice seam and I can see what I'm doing. I'm really hoping nothing shifts at the back and that I catch everything at the back. I'm on the wrong side of the bodice, and this is the waistband on the inside. Edge stitching turned out really neat on the inside as well. And then from here to there, I've measured every 1/2 inch, 1, 2, 3, 4 lines. And these are going to form the casings. There's going to be elastic there, there, and there. And in the middle, there's going to be 2 that don't have elastic. So I have gone ahead and measured this all the way around, every 1.5 inches or so. And I'm going to be following my dots like this. It will be a lot of stitching, just going around and around and around. And then we have that little opening here on the side where we thread the elastic through. And then once it's in and reinforced and everything, we just stitch those little openings by hand. And that's how this is done. Now, I'm not going to lie and say this is going to take 5 minutes because it's going to take a while. It's lots of seams all the way around. For me, it's easy to sew straight between one little mark and the next, but if you find it hard, just draw the whole thing. These are friction pen, and I'm doing it on the inside just in case. I've never had marks come back. If you're loving the sewing content at Lifting Pins and Needles that is super practical, don't step away without tapping on the like button. It's the best way to let YouTube know that this is great content. Hopefully more people that sew can find me over here. Check out this green. I bought this fabric a couple of years ago along with navy and other tones, just because I found this composition that I like. And I thought, love that composition. It's the best, 70% rayon, 30% linen. You get the best of the drape and the texture of linen. It's just the best thing. So I love the color. It's not the typical one that you see me wear, but I think it suits me. I actually picked this blouse to wear for this video, also from Each to Stitch, just because I want to match with what I'm showing. Anyway, it's amazing. The V neckline here, beautiful. Careful with the rounded area there when I was top stitching, just so it looks really neat because you can really see it. Facing finished with a serged edge, I think is appropriate. It's in the pattern. Love that. I prefer that to when it says to fold under because then it's just more bulky. But anyway, lovely ruffles. You'll see the wrong side of the ruffle. So partially why I chose this fabric as well, because it's the same on both sides, so you never see it. Made my own bias tape in there. I think that's great. I didn't really want to use any other store-bought or contrast binding here. I wanted to keep it all green. and I had enough fabric to cut 2 little strips just for the armhole, so I made it myself. My strips are 1.5 inches. I didn't use much fabric at all. I measured them there, drew them on my fabric, cut them out with a rotary cutter, and then I used the bias tape maker that says 18 on the back. That's what I use, and it turned out beautifully. I love making bias tape. It's just so satisfying. Then the bodice is gathered into that waistband, as you can see there. It's really delicate. I think it looks amazing. And here we have all the channels. There's elastic there, there, and there. And in between there isn't. So I think it keeps it comfortable. I wouldn't want there to be elastic in all the channels. I think that would be a little bit constrictive. So I think that is super nice. Simple skirt. I have the shorter version, which is pretty predictable for me and my style. I would not have had enough fabric to make a maxi with this one. I rarely have enough fabric to make maxi dresses because when I buy fabrics, I usually don't buy that much, especially fabrics I bought in the past. I never was thinking about maxi things. I love that we get to serge all the edges beforehand and then all the seams are pressed open. I think that's really nice. Matching thread is always a bonus. It's just so nice and neat on the inside. The waistband looks the same on the outside and the inside. It's all super neat. There is the binding. It's just such an amazing make. It does not take you 1 or 2 hours to sew. It would probably take you a lot more than that if you're careful, but it's just so worth it. The result, amazing. So let's see it styled on its own with a jacket. Try to dress it down a bit if that's even possible. This is my Sorata dress from Itch to Stitch. Beautiful green, not a common color for me, but I think it suits me and I feel amazing. I can camouflage if I walk around grass. This is a Rayon linen blend, 70% rayon, 30% linen, medium weight, amazing drape. Super great choice for the features of this beautiful dress. I have the knee-length version. My skirt is 1 inch longer than the original, but I didn't make any changes to the bodice. Mine is a C-cup. And the beautiful details you'll see up closer, they're just so lovely. The fit is gorgeous and the flow of this skirt is amazing. Up closer, you can see this elasticated waist. It's a waistband, 2 layers, outer, inner. There's these little channels that you sew and there's 3 casings with elastic, 3/8 of an inch elastic. And the middle of the waistband is supposed to be at your waist. So that is exactly where it is. You can see the bodice is up higher. There's a little bit of gathering into that waistband right under the bust. That's what gives you the space for the bust. C-cup over here, beautiful fit. I love it so much, so pretty. The back fits amazingly well. I didn't need to make any changes to the length of the bodice. I am super comfortable like this. Is a closer look at the bodice. Beautiful V neckline finished with a facing that's been top stitched. I have the single flutter option for the sleeveless. You can also do a regular sleeveless and bind it normally. This is bound on the inside as well. I think it looks darling. You can do a double ruffle if you want, or even a flutter sleeve. So plenty of options. The V neckline is very nice. It's just perfect. It's not too deep. It's not plunging. You're not showing anything. I think V necklines look great on a lot of people, and facing finish is always classic. Very neat on the inside. The ruffles, what can I say? I could not step away. This is not a dress that takes you 1 or 2 hours to make, probably double that. But all the effort that you put in is going to be so worth it. It fits so well. It's going to look amazing on everyone. So feminine, so delicate. It's really beautiful. Cuteness really has a knack for designing beautiful dresses. This one is no exception. Dress is an outfit on its own. Just grab some shoes and a bag and you're done. But I brought out here a linen blazer that I bought in Chile. It's ready to wear, 100% linen. I got it on a sale, so I could not pass it up. Really simple style. When I have dresses with beautiful details on the neckline or the waist or anything, I really want you to see them underneath the jacket, topper, whatever I put on top. So I think this jacket is perfect because the neckline is super simple. It's just a facing underneath. It doesn't take away from what's underneath, which is actually the star of the show. Very pretty, and this off-white color, of course, is going to go with anything. So I just paired it up here. Paired it up with green, and I think it looks really nice for spring and summer. I don't really know if you can actually dress down this dress because it's just so amazing, but I've got a crossbody bag, I've got caramel tones here on the bag and the sneakers, and I think this would be amazing for a day where you're going to be out walking all day. Casual, but you made an effort, you're wearing a beautiful dress. Highly recommend. As always, Each to Stitch has amazing instructions and fit. I think the patterns are top notch, great quality, great value. The style is always just so beautiful. I really enjoyed my project. I'm sure you're going to enjoy making your dress if you decide to get this pattern. Remember, it's 20% off through next Thursday the 14th. I hope you have an amazing weekend. I don't plan to sew this weekend. I haven't had a weekend off in weeks and weeks. So just plan something with the family and just recharge to get full on with it on Monday. See you next week. Bye.